Trevor Phillips probably has been remembered in Grand Theft Auto V as one of the most controversial characters in the entire series. Stomping Johnny Klebitz's head to pieces, talking to a friend with his pants down, or consuming human flesh are just some of the situations in the game that probably no one would like to remember though. The protagonist of the game can be accused of much, but one thing must be admitted. The man can sometimes show above average intelligence and, most shockingly, looking at his personality, some kind of empathy. Let's start with the mission called Hood Safari, where Trevor shows not only true criminal artistry, but also that he is on full alert and that he analyzes the situation on an ongoing basis. Very accurately, by the way. In a nutshell, during this mission, Franklin and Lamar are going to Grove Street to buy drugs from the Ballas. The whole deal was arranged by Stretch, who had just recently been released from prison and who, as we saw in some cutscenes, behaved suspiciously. The circumstances around him were also suspicious, a good example of which is the mission called The Long Stretch. However, in order not to go into details here, since this thread is really extensive, we send you to the tab in the upper right corner of the screen, where you'll find a video about Stretch and his connections to the Ballas. Meanwhile, back to the point, in the Hood Safari mission, all of a sudden, Trevor appeared in front of Franklin's house, looking for a solid dose of adrenaline. Seeing that big action was in the air, he decided to go to Grove Street with Franklin and Lamar.
Talking about the little Stretch thing, man.
Fucking beautiful. Perfect. It's a gangbang. Let's go. Come on.
When the gentlemen arrived at the place, it seemed that everything would go smoothly. The deal went according to plan from the start. Lamar tasted the drug, which turned out to be top-notch. It was closed, and the gentlemen would leave Grove Street with a package in their hands, which was not filled to the brim with the drug as it might have originally seemed. Fortunately, Trevor sensed the situation and noticed that Franklin and Lamar were dealing with some smart guy who wanted to cheat them in some way.
Let's go. How about a taste?
No, man, we leaving.
I want a taste of the other side of the brick.
Now you heard what your boy said, you're leaving.
The dealer's reaction to Trevor's request for a sample on the other side of the package made it clear that something was wrong. In turn, a moment later, everything came to light when the dealer and Trevor scuffled over the package. When the package broke, it turned out that it was not filled with the drug at all, but with a plaster to imitate it. It was one of the best decisions Trevor made in GTA 5. The man, using his experience, predicted the dealer's intentions well, thanks to which he saved the boys from serious trouble. This situation showed that Trevor not only has a lot of experience, but also can use it, even in very stressful situations. In the meantime, we move on to the Caída Libre mission, which is a prelude to unpleasant events that might not show Trevor's intelligence, but prove that even a man like him has feelings. Martin Madrazo, the head of the powerful drug cartels in Los Santos, asks Michael and Trevor for help.
My cousin, you met in Michael. Well, apparently, he's thinking about testifying against me. So I have him killed.
Looks like his cousin Javier will want to testify against him. Javier has a lot of evidence incriminating Martin, so he can give him a hard time. Madrazo is afraid of this evidence, and that's why he wants the two protagonists to eliminate Javier and recover sensitive documents. The whole operation is very carefully prepared, and there are plenty of twists and turns, at least up to a certain point. Trevor manages to finally deal with Javier and steal all the documents. The man smiles as he heads to Martin's house to deliver the good news and documentation and to collect his paycheck. However, the plans change dramatically when the man notices something disturbing. Namely, Trevor witnesses how Madrazo treats his wife badly.
Trevor, come on.
You still want the drink?
Not now! Pendeja! ¿Qué no ves que estoy hablando con las gentes aquí?
Add to this a small argument with Martin about the payment, Trevor decides to kidnap Patricia, the wife of the cartel leader.
I asked for a fair day's pay after a fair day's work. Then he kind of got a little angry. So I admit, I kind of got a little angry.
And yes, it could lead to many unpleasant consequences. The men, saving their skins, even had to hide themselves for a while, just so the members of the Madrazo cartel wouldn't tear them apart. On the other hand, Trevor did a good thing in a way by protecting Patricia from a possessive husband who was hurting her. What's more, what happened next opened Martin Madrazo's eyes in a way, and eventually led him to change his attitude towards his wife, who came back to him. However, what we think is the most important thing here is that Trevor showed that in his body of a sociopath and total maniac, there's also a good man inside of him. The perfect example of which is the moment when Trevor talks to Patricia, which takes place when the man drives the woman on the ranch.
Never been
so happy, so sad in my life.
The man considered Patricia to be someone really special. Not only that, after Trevor returned Martine his wife, Patricia contacted Trevor several times, where we once again witnessed how tender and caring a guy who we consider to be a regular psychopath can be.
Patricia, Mrs. Madrazo.
Trevor, oh, I miss you. All you boys.
Miss you too. I can't speak for the other boys.
You're such good friends.
It's a bit more complicated than that. Actually, Michael and I, not speaking.
Old friendships cannot be replaced.
Hey, how are you? Is Martin looking after you?
He's here. I've got to go.
By the way, it's very interesting what exactly guided Trevor and how his past influenced his behavior and perception of reality. This is another field for discussion, but the subject is so vast that it deserves a separate video. Another indication that Trevor is not so bad, in theory, comes in the mission called By the Book, where, yes, Trevor causes Ferdinand Karamov a lot of suffering at the beginning, but does not give him the final blow that Karamov was supposed to get. Well, the guilty Ferdinand was needed by Steve Haynes to get the necessary information about the whereabouts of Tahir Javan. As we've seen perfectly well, Karamov was not a threat, and he was not a person who would do anything to anyone. Trevor knew that Karamov would not get away with torture, and therefore caused the man a lot of pain. However, when Haynes had Karamov killed, it was Trevor who decided to save him.
If you take care of Mr. K, I think we're all set.
What the fuck do you want me to do with him?
I would say he's outlived his usefulness.
Oh, come on, please.
Shut up!
Mr. Phillips was guided by the fact that no one would order him, and that's why he did not kill Karamov. But there was something wrong with it all. Trevor didn't want to just kill someone who fell victim to a government agency. So in theory, the bloodthirsty Trevor again showed mercy and refrained from committing murder, which we believe was due to his ability to put himself in the shoes of poor Ferdinand Karamov and his great empathy. The next point on our list concerns the mission Bury the Hatchet, where Trevor's cleverness is again revealed, as well as how important friendship is to him. Trevor is fed up with the secrets Michael is hiding and the fact that it's not known what is happening to Brad, who is allegedly in prison. Phillips expected an explanation, but the Santa continued to avoid answering any of his questions. After some time, there's a quarrel between the men. There's a stronger exchange of words and a moment of silence. It would seem that the conversation will end in nothing. But Trevor finally decides to ask Michael a question that has been on his mind for a long time. Namely, who was buried in North Yankton in Michael's grave?
Up in North Yankton, exactly who was buried in your place?
I never gave it any thought.
You know what I'm thinking?
I had no clue.
You treacherous piece of shit! You're fucking dead!
Since Trevor once again sees Michael talking BS, he decides to answer this question himself. He goes to North Yankton, where one of the game's biggest plot scams comes to light. At this point, not only do we see Trevor unmask his friend's intricate plan, which was not easy at all, but in addition, as in the case of Patricia, we once again see how important friendship and loyalty are to Trevor. Another cool instance that fits perfectly with the topic of the episode is the mission, the wrap-up. Michael and Dave Norton meet at one of the vantage points at the court center to discuss current events. Michael confirms that he has kept all his promises and urges Dave to keep his promise in terms of letting Michael and his friends go free. Dave, on the other hand, begins to explain to Michael that there has been a change of plans, and unexpectedly, Steve Haynes and Andreas Sanchez appear on the spot. In short, the situation is totally out of control. The men start pointing guns at each other, while Dave tries to calm everyone down. Plus, a group of IAA agents led by UL Paper Contact wants to arrest all 4 people. Not only that, but a rival group of corrupt FIB agents also appears on the scene. Things get even worse when a Buzzard attack helicopter appears out of nowhere, manned by Merryweather's private military mercenaries. Within seconds, a massive gunfight ensues. Michael manages to escape thanks to great luck. He then tries to get out of this razor-edged situation while also protecting Norton from the IAA and FIB agents. After a while, it becomes even more difficult because the men are being shot at via helicopter led by people from Merryweather. It would seem that the fate of Michael and Dave is already sealed, until suddenly it turns out that Trevor comes to the rescue. A man shoots down a helicopter pilot with a sniper rifle, allowing Michael and Dave to make a successful escape. Once again, we get a great example that Trevor can think logically and connect the dots very well. Trevor comes to Michael's aid despite the conflict between the men, once again showing how much he values his, although very lame, friendship. Of course, Trevor was also looking very hard at himself in this situation, because he knew that Dave Norton was damn important to both Michael and Trevor. After all, he was probably the only way out of this whole mess. If Trevor had blown it off, Michael and Dave would probably have died, and soon, Trevor would have been the next target. Trevor was aware of this and knew that despite the disagreements, he had to act. Of course, this was not the only reason, because considering the situation in North Yankton, where Trevor did not kill Michael, you can see that friendship simply meant a lot to him. Although Michael put his friendship to the test several times, Trevor fought for it anyway. As we've also seen in this episode, Trevor has often shown great insight and brilliance. He has shown that he has very good personality traits, such as empathy, and is guided by the right values, such as friendship. Of course, these situations, even though they put Trevor in a very good light, do not rule out all the awful things that the man has committed. Bad behavior towards Ron and Wade, multiple cold-blooded murders, cannibalism, drug dealing, and cruelty in the killing of Deborah and Floyd are just a few of Trevor's many despicable acts. Nevertheless, the point was to show that even in such a sociopath, we can see the positive side. And now, to continue the topic of non-obvious things, we recommend watching a video about why GTA has a positive impact on us, and why we can learn so much from this game. In the meantime, thank you for your presence, and we invite you to watch more videos that will appear soon. Bye!